Alright, hello there everybody and welcome to another After Effects tutorial. And in this one, we're going to find out how to create a 3D cube in After Effects. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new composition. And my composition I'm going to call 3D cube. And for the width, I'm going to do 1000 and the height by 1000 as well. And I'm going to press OK. Now what we have to do here is we have to create the sides of our cubes first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, and to create the sides I'm going to double click on my rectangle tool so that it creates a new shape but that the whole composition is full. And the color that I'm using up here is this color here. You can change it to whatever you want. And for the stroke up here, if I click on this, it has a stroke of 80 opacity. And the color, if you want to change the color, you can do that here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a name, and I will call this the right side. And I'm going to make this 3D right here. So click on this, and now my layer is in 3D. And to see this better, I'm going to open up my 2 view right here, so that I have this extra view. And this view is the custom view 1. And to change this, you just go over here and you can change the views. Now with this right side, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up the position on here by pressing P. And then I'm going to drag this over to the right so that the center of my anchor point is right on the edge. And for this to be perfect, we need to set our X position to 1000. Now the anchor point is exactly on this line right here. Now we need to open up the rotation as well. So press Shift and R on your layer. And then for my Y rotation, I'm going to set this to 90 degrees so that it's facing this way. Now what I need to do now is create the left side. So I'm going to go back up here, double click on this, and then I will make it 3D. And I'm going to call this left side. Press P, open that up, and press Shift R as well. Drag this over, and you could probably guess it is going to be at 0 this time for the position X. Just like that. And then for my Y rotation, it's going to be -90 so that they're facing. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create another one. So double click up here, and we'll call this one our top. And what we're going to do is we are going to open up the position and rotation, make it 3D. Then I'm going to drag this guy up. Right about there. Make the Y on your position 0. And then on our X rotation, we are going to rotate it. And we're going to set this to 90. And I'm going to go ahead and create another one. You could also duplicate your layer if you want to create another layer. So you can press Control D or Command D if you're on a Mac, and you'll call it bottom position and rotation. It's already 3D because we duplicated it. And then we're going to drag it down right to here. And this is going to be 1000. Good. And now we see our cube is really coming together. So if we went to our custom view and we press C to grab our rotation tool, I'm using the first one right here, so the orbit around cursor tool. Now we need to add the front and the back on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create another shape. This time I'm going to double click on here, make it 3D. And then if I go over here and twist it, I see it's in the center. I need to push this back because I want this to be the back. Open up your position. This time I'm just going to affect the position because we don't need to change the rotation. So press P, and I'm going to push this back. And it should be at 500. I'm going to make one more, so double click. I'm going to call it the front. Make it 3D. Position. And then I'm going to set this to be at negative 500. Awesome. So now we have our cube. And next we will see how to animate this. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've created a new composition called animation, and it is set to 1920 by 1080 at 29.97 frames. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my 3D cube right here. Drag it down, and I'm going to make it 3D. Now notice that I can tell that it isn't a cube, and I see it in the 3D box right here. It's actually flat. If I want it to be a cube, I actually have to select this option right here, which is the 4-comp collapse transformations. Now notice that I have my cube. And I'm going to actually make this a little bit smaller, so something like that. And now notice too that my anchor point is now in the center of my new comp. So that's interesting to note. What After Effects has done is that it has looked at all of these anchor points on my cube here, and it has put the anchor point of my cube in the new composition in the center of all of those other anchor points. Now, what if we want to animate this? What can we do? Well, we'll make this a little bit smaller actually, a little bit more. Say something like this, and we'll give it a white background. So new solid. Press OK. Drag this down to the bottom. Awesome. And I'm actually going to use a null here. So I'm going to right click, null object, and I'm going to parent my 3D cube to my null. Make the null 3D. And now notice over here, if I zoom in, I see that I have a null inside of my cube. So press C, and here we have it. Awesome. Now we want to animate this. So what we're going to do is we are going to zoom out of here like that. And then over here, we are going to open up the position and the rotation. And we're going to put keyframes for all of our rotations and the position. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my null selected right here. And then I'm going to grab on the null, not the cube, but the null. And I'm going to bring it up, drag it over to something like that. And I have these handles that I can mess with, like this. And if you can't see the null handles, sometimes you can zoom in here. So I'm going to click on this panel right here, Control plus, and get up real close. And then you're able to grab the handle a little bit easier. So you could also do it in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess with the rotation a little bit. So I'll give these a rotation of, let's do 2, 1, 1. And if I play it back, I have this. All right. Now what else could we do? Well, we could give a face to a certain side of our cube because right now I can't tell what any side of this is. So I'm going to go into my 3D cube right here, and I'm going to give this a face. So I'm going to go in here and grab a picture. So let's grab this guy, import it. All right, so here I have my triangles that I brought in. I'm going to drag it down, right click on it, go up to transform, and I will select fit to comp so that it fits. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the top. So I'm going to open up my top layer, look at the rotation and the position, and then I will give the same properties to my triangles. And I will have to make this 3D, so turn on your toggle switches and modes, click here, and then turn your Y to 0 and your X rotation to 90, just like that. All right, awesome. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick whip this triangles to the top right here. And then I'm going to turn off the fill on my top. So click on it, click right there, click here, and set it to none. Press OK. Now notice if I go back to my animation and I play it through, I can now see the top of my cube. And you can ease these if you want. So F9, give it a motion blur, and so on. And if you want to finish on the top so that you can see it, you could adjust, say, the X rotation. If I play it back, I have this. So that's how to work with 3D cubes in After Effects. I hope that you learned a lot in this tutorial, and we will see you on the next one. Until next time.